And welcome back to the Midday Show. We're back after a busy weekend. We've got border control. We have the Kentucky Derby winner, was a little bit off their rocker apparently. American Idol's contestant Beane, who made the top 12, is back as well. And then we've just got some random pop culture stuff for you. We can wrap up, kind of bring everything back together. Mark, how are you doing today?
Depends what time you ask. I'm doing better than some Derby dopers. We'll discuss that as we get to it. But yeah, I'm mostly okay. How about you? You're still in that white abyss of a void.
I am. I mean, eventually we'll have something back here, but right now, like, this works. This is what I need, right?
You just like it because when people look at you, like, they have to focus all on you. There's nothing else to look at.
You know what's funny is someone did tell me that I look more tan because of the white void.
Of course you do.
I've never been tan, ever.
I think you just want the attention. You don't want anything in the background to distract.
We're going to touch about border control a little bit and maybe, talk about our border, other borders.
Well, I was going to say, this border control is not what you think.
No, but it'll eventually get there. A Belgian farmer, if you haven't heard this story yet, go look it up. It's really great. A Belgian farmer accidentally moved the French-Belgium border. He basically was trying to do something with his tractor. He picked up a stone, moved it, which you can see on the screen there. And by doing so, actually made Belgium about 2 meters bigger, making France about 2 meters shorter. This, to me, first of all, I did not know that this was still like a way to mark national borders.
I remember, I was going to say a couple years ago. Now, this may be 20 years ago or something, but somewhere out in the woods, they found an original one of these markers for the Mason-Dixon line because they had been set up every however many miles throughout. And through time I'll Google it when we're done. Within, my adult life, they found one of these because I thought it was interesting. So it is funny that they're just, that it became a story. Please tell me no one was angry about this. That they just thought it was funny and that it was a story.
So in the BBC report, actually people were kind of smiling on both sides. They found it comical. And France was kind of making a big deal about how much Belgium now owes them X amount. Whatever 2 square meters is worth, Belgium is now in debt to France. So, most of it was met with lighthearted smiles, which part of the reason why I use the title border control was just to bring it up, the idea of, we have such this idea of border control being like a very vulgar story. Like it's very much like stay on your side and I'll stay on my side. And that's our idea as Americans of what borders mean when you think of border. So it's just neat to see a different story with a different light of what a border actually is between two countries.
I saw one that, I saw this story years ago, that somewhere in somebody's attic, they found a drawing of what the Canadian border of Maine was supposed to be.
Okay.
And when they looked at it, they're like, uh-oh, this isn't right. So apparently, I don't know what order, but they'd come to an agreement and they had these surveyors and they laid it out and then they did something different. So I guess somewhere along the line, they screwed that up. But
yeah, so just some other tidbits on the story. The Belgian mayor actually got involved and actually said that on his resume, he's now going to put on his accomplishments. He actually grew the nation.
A little bit of conquering there. He took some land.
Yes, conquering's a good word.
Conquering hero. That is awesome. So the story is the farmer just thought it was a rock?
So if you look at it, it's hard to think that he thought it was a rock. However, I don't think he thought it had the significance of which it had. Because even on in Covington, PA, on our old farm, you'll find very clear markers, right? They don't look necessarily like a perfect cube, but they were very clearly put there to mark something, or the idea of this is the end of the road, and they've been there for probably decades, hundreds of up to 100 years for a while. So this was very similar in the, you could tell it wasn't an ordinary stone, which you can see in the picture, but if you're him, what are the odds that you're about to change the France-Belgium border?
But you can just change it back.
So
move it.
So
so here's the next thing. Somebody's stealing this stone, aren't they?
Now that they know you can just pick it up and move it.
I mean, someone's coming along with a pickup truck and this thing is gone.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to think so. They are asking him to move it back. So
well, now this requires an act of Congress. You can't just do that.
You can't just move it. So yeah, this is just floating. It does make you wonder though, like you brought up the idea of like borders being made, and so many of them were made by natural landmarks, whether it was a river or something else. It does make you like, you start to think of like, what is actually separating some of this stuff.
I read a book once on how the states were, I don't read whole books, but I read some of a book about how the states were shaped. And it's interesting how they came to the points. And I read why Oklahoma has the panhandle, because there are all these, but it is interesting where they decide when there's not a river in between.
I never thought it was just a stone. Like in 2021, I never thought it would just be a stone separating France and Belgium.
It's usually just imaginary, but all right, let's get on to drugs.
Yeah, that's what you've been. Go ahead. You can tell this one.
So the Kentucky Derby winner tested positive. So my joke was that the horse is a junkie. Jeff was offended because in Jeff's definition of a junkie, it has to be self-inflicted. And of course, everyone knows the horse wasn't giving itself whatever drugs.
Correct.
The trainer is claiming we had nothing to do with it, although the trainers had horses that have tested positive. This is to the lay person. This is what happened, because not that I'm a horse racing expert, but this is what happens with all the steroid. I shouldn't say never. It's rarely that they don't know what's taking is illegal. They also think they're taking something with it that'll mask it. So it's all chemistry. It's all science. It's not in the drugs. It's in the masking agent. If you know, I explained this to my kids last night because they know who Lance Armstrong is, but they don't know the whole history of it. For years and years and years, Lance Armstrong kept testing negative for these performance-enhancing drugs. And what really happened to him was that they had these samples in the vials in the fridge, and the testing got better and better. So he was able to hide it at the time, but through history, then they went back and they're like, oh no, you were cheating all along. And he was like, whoops. So that's what happened. So when Bob and again, now here's the other aspect. There is a lab, and they do take these things and they send them, and it's, babies have gotten switched in hospitals. So it is possible. But, the trainer's coming out saying, we did nothing wrong. I have no idea where this came from. I don't know. And there also is, this is what I learned about horse racing, there is a level that is allowed in the horse. And they were just over the legal limit, if you will. The horse failed the proverbial breathalyzer. So somewhere somebody over-concocted, overdosed, whatever. But when the trainer comes out and says, we did not, I think that's your immediate reaction. There'll be a follow-up. There's a second sample. There'll be a follow-up, and we'll see what happens. But it has screwed up the Preakness. The post-draw was supposed to be today for the Preakness. They're going to delay it a day to see if this horse is there. Bob Baffert has been temporarily banned from Churchill Downs, and we'll see what the fallout is. But it goes back to the original question. Is the horse a junkie?
It can't be a junkie, because as we had discussed before, you can have an addictive personality, or you can be an addict, but it's not necessarily your doing or you created it. We used the epidemic that doctors prescribing medicine. What was the one that just came out? OxyContin. The documentary is just coming out now on HBO.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of addicts on OxyContin because their doctors prescribed it to them. I would not describe them as junkies.
See, I think that junkie is slang vernacular for addict. That's what I think.
I think there's a separation in like how they became and what they're doing between the two. Because like I have an addictive personality. Like once I'm into something,
different.
Right? But it's my choice. Like I decided
that's an adjective.
to do it.
We're talking nouns.
When was the last time a horse was disqualified?
Do you have the answer to this?
I do have the answer to this.
It was really recently, wasn't it? Didn't he go out of his lane or something?
No. The only horse to be disqualified for medication
after
winning the Derby was in 1968. The horse went by the name Dancer's Image. So that's also part of the reason why it's a big deal. Is it just doesn't happen a ton.
Well, it doesn't look good for the sport.
No, it does not. So, however, if the findings are upheld, the Kentucky Derby has already announced that the win will be invalidated, and there will be a new winner declared. I believe it's Who got second? Mandaloun?
Mandalay Bay? No, I don't know.
No, not Mandalay Bay.
And that is, and my daughter's like, well, there can't be a Triple Crown then. I was like, well, there usually isn't anyway. But yes, there will be. There will be a winner. I want to know what they do with all the tickets that were paid, because this, if you're at the window, you cash out. You don't have to wait 8 days to cash out your ticket. So
Right.
all the people who took this money to the bank and spent it, and I don't know.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, I guess that here comes the fine to cover our losses. I don't know.
It could be. It definitely could be. Spin the wheel. Let's thank Weis Markets. The prize wheel's finally back.
Well, it's back. I forgot all about it. So here, while we talk, this is what we're going to do. We're going to spin, and we're going to spin, and there we go. There's the wheel.
Perfect.
Here, let me go there. So thank you to Weis Markets. I was supposed to come in this weekend and put it up on a stand, and then I didn't because I had things to do, and I also forgot. And so anyway, thank you to Weis Markets. They have a $25 gift card, a $50 gift card, a $100 gift card. Also, Eat and Run Catering, the Moon and Raven, and the Break Room. So yeah, obviously everyone was in Weis. I was in Weis Markets over the weekend because I'm on many weekdays, but of course when the weekend comes, there I am.
It's that time of the year.
It is that time of the year. Mother's Day. I hope everyone had a happy Mother's Day.
Everyone's getting ready for the grill.
I did get some compliments on my point the other day that people make Mother's Day work for the mothers, and they think they're doing something special, and they're not. And if you just told the mother, go have 5 hours to yourself, that would be a great Mother's Day.
I believe it.
So
no doubt. Today's random winner from the Facebook group, The Midday Show, is Quinn Feegley. Quinn Feegley.
There we go. All right, Quinn, here's your spin. I'm a better spinner than Jeff. I'm going to win something that Jeff didn't. No, I did not.
No,
sorry.
you
We'll cover that up.
You failed.
We'll cover that loser up real quick.
All right. Sorry, Quinn, that Mark had to spin the wheel for you.
I want to get one with lights and flashes and I actually looked into building a wheel. It's complicated.
Yes. It's very complicated.
It's not
as simple as you think.
It's a lot of you got to balance it. It was a lot more complicated.
Do you think because you the Wheel of Fortune, right?
Yes.
And the giant wheel. This is so corny. I've always been, somebody sat in a production meeting and said, what if we had the wheel face the other way? Have you ever thought about that with the Wheel of Fortune?
You mean flat?
When you spin that wheel, you're seeing the flat side of the wheel. Correct. On the Wheel of Fortune, you're not seeing the flat side of the wheel. You're seeing the outer part of the wheel.
Wait, what?
You don't understand. See, most people never thought about this.
Oh, you mean
before.
on The Price is Right?
Sorry, The Price is Right. What did I say?
Oh, you said on Wheel of Fortune.
Sorry about that. The Price is Right.
You are. It's like a tire.
Yes.
You're seeing the tire go
And
around.
can you imagine that production meeting when they were talking about it and they were like, what if we had the wheel facing directly at the person?
That is cool. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. It's the only one I've ever seen like that.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your mind blown.
And everyone said this is what happened. Everyone said it was stupid until the guy drew a little mock-up of it.
And then they're like,
oh my God, this is great.
This is the best prize wheel I've ever seen.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
We talked a lot about American Idol before Beane was knocked out of the top 12, and he made his return home on Saturday. I believe we're going to do a video on it on NorthcentralPa.com, which will be out. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go. And you and I talk a lot about music and different things, and we've talked about concerts. There are a couple of things to touch on this, and then we can talk about being kind of moving forward with it. First of all, it was amazing to see live music again, because it was the first time that I'd really been somewhere where there was a significantly larger group of people and everyone was focusing on the same thing. It wasn't my living room, and it wasn't a Zoom. It wasn't to actually be in a room where everyone was collectively listening to something. It was it brought joy to my soul. Go ahead.
I was going to say, last night I was watching baseball a little bit on ESPN, and the Phillies were at the Braves, and the commentators were talking about how much the players are going to look forward to going to Atlanta this year, because they have full capacity.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, tonight they're like, we're not sold out. They had 28,000 tonight, but it is a place where they can go. And on a Saturday afternoon, they're going to get a raucous crowd.
Yes. So the Community Arts Center came out. It was the largest crowd that they have had since February of 2020. And so it was really special just to kind of be in a room and kind of see it. And Beane even talks about how he had mentioned, even at American Idol, you weren't really performing for a crowd. Like it was just kind of, you were just kind of there and there was like 30 people and that was it. So I think with everything setting up, coming back home, doing a live performance after people haven't had one in a year, it just made for a very, very special moment that I almost think you couldn't duplicate again if you tried. It would be, I'm not saying the performance would have been less good if COVID never happened and the place was full, but there was kind of this like intimate feeling and there was this craving to see like performance. And then you throw in the fact that it's him and it's after Idol and it's after everything else. It was a very unique experience. It was really neat to get to be a part of.
Well, when I interviewed his family for the story that we ran here on NCPA, one of the things that they'd said was it's too bad it wasn't a typical year because they thought that because of his ability to play to the crowd, that the bigger the crowd, the better he would have been.
Sure.
And the crowd reaction would have been better because I said, we talked about how much pressure and how much he's like, they said, but you got to remember, like, even though he is on TV and he's live to the world, in the room, there aren't that many people because of COVID. So it's not that pressure packed to be there. And so that is an interesting little tidbit that just came out of, because is this the biggest crowd he's played to lately?
Oh, it has to be. He had hinted that it was just under 500 people. And he said it's bigger than any that he performed of for the show. And obviously as a wedding singer, stuff like that, I mean, A, he's probably not doing a ton of them.
Well, yeah.
And B, how many weddings have more than 500 people at them? It was a very, very unique thing. And I said this to you, I knew it was going to be really good. And so when you know something, like when you're expecting something to be really good, it's hard then to meet that expectation. It's almost impossible to exceed it. I'm not just saying this, and I'm trying not to sound like a groupie. It exceeded everything that I was. He was even better than what I thought he was going to be, and I knew he was going to be really good.
What was his best song?
It wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't not country, if that double negative makes sense, but he did a version of Tennessee Whiskey that was very clean and very unique because of his voice and his performance style. Because you're so used to hearing that in that kind of, it's not a twangy song, but it is very much like a barroom kind of slow ballad. And he just kind of made it cleaner and slicker. It was really, really good.
So that was your favorite one of the night?
That was my favorite one of the night.
What, you got a shocker? Did he do any Black Sabbath?
No, I did. I joked with you and said he exclusively did Black Sabbath, just trying to make you jealous. No, there wasn't really a shocker. He did a couple of his, he did some of his originals, and they're a lot, I don't know the word I'm looking for, because when you're hearing him on Idol, it's very like performance oriented. So it's, it's very much like visual. And so to be able to hear him do some of his originals where it's just him and a guitar and a stool, it's just, you get to see kind of a different side that didn't, and we knew this before the show even started, it didn't necessarily play into his strength. Like they said, like he wasn't going to blend in with the rest of the performers. But getting to see him individually on a stage where he's in his own element and you're not trying to win votes and you're not trying to, it was really impressive to hear him do some of his own stuff.
Well, and the reason I joke about Black Sabbath is when I did interview the family, I asked if he ever sang rock and roll, and his I think it was his stepfather said he has a recording of him doing Black Sabbath when he was back at the Uptown, and he said it was great. So so I would have loved to see him come out with I think he said he did War Pigs or something like that, but.
No, it was really, and just, to wrap it up, I would say, I asked him the night before I ran into him, and I said, like, are you excited? Like, is it awkward to be home? Like, what is, like to do a performance during COVID? And I just remember, like, he looked at me and he was just kind of like, he's like, Oh no, he's like, I'm excited to be in front of people. And so I think like you add in the fact like
you left out the part where he's like, not necessarily you.
No, he wasn't probably not excited to
but
be
everyone else.
But it was just that idea of like, you could tell the environment, the length of COVID, live performing music, going to Idol and now coming home and getting a chance. And when you just add it all up, it's an experience I won't forget.
Isn't Aaron Kelly playing somewhere soon?
That or he already did it. I can't remember.
I saw his name come up, and this is probably War Pigs. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that was it. Oh, that's his. Is that his mom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So really neat experience. I'm sure he'll be doing more stuff, and we'll keep track of it as he goes. But it was, again, hard to exceed expectations when you're expecting something to be really good. He knocked it out of the park Saturday night.
And, you know, a kid from Blossburg, I mean, you've probably seen every good show that's ever come down the pipe.
I've seen more. You would be shocked at the things that I have seen. You would be stunned.
I probably would be.
We're going to wrap it up for you here. We've got a couple of quick stories. I told you this one and you were kind of blown away by it. A Chinese zoo is being criticized after keeping a leopard escape secret. They had a number of leopards escape from the facility, which it happens like all facilities. All facilities.
That's true.
It happens. But
I can see you at a press conference being like, why are you people upset? It happened.
Well, but see, the key word you said there was press conference, because what the zoo did was they kept it under wraps for almost 3 weeks.
We should have opened with this one.
The zoo told nobody. So leopards just kind of roamed around for 2 to 3 weeks, and they later admitted to the police the reason that they didn't tell anybody is they were scared about what it would do to their holiday attendance the last 3 weeks. Apparently there's a holiday period over in China at this time. I just can't.
They had a focus group, and they asked the focus group, if we let people know there are leopards roaming wild, will that hurt our attendance? And they said yes. So they didn't tell anyone. I think that is fantastic.
So, and here's how the public's upset. Because it's not like they waited 3 weeks and then came out and said like, hey, we've been looking for these leopards. I can't even say it with a straight face. We've been looking for these leopards and we can't find them anywhere. What ended up happening was people in the public actually got pictures of them, like through the what are the cameras? Yes, and stuff. And so the public like was going to the police being like, something's not right here. Like, we're getting pictures of these leopards and stuff. And then the zoo came forward and said like, oh yeah, we can't find them. Like
I can see that too. When the police show up and they're like, are you missing any leopards? Why would you ask that? Because there's one running down the street. This was in, where was this?
This was in China.
So China has the rocket over the weekend. They can't find the rocket. Well, they could find it. They just couldn't catch it. They can't find the leopards. It's a very rough weekend there for China. For the world's biggest country.
It was at the Hangzhou Safari Park. And the crazy part, they're still missing a leopard.
Well, I was going to say, it might no longer be at the Hangzhou Safari Park. Who knows where this dude is now?
Yeah, 2 of them have been found and captured. There's still apparently one on the loose that they are looking for now.
The one who is best at hide and seek has not been. That is awesome.
Just a good.
That is
to not
the fact
say
that
something.
That they are just like.
It is.
Wait, what?
And it's not like they closed down. Like, it's not like they closed down and then didn't tell anybody. Just things as normal. Everything's fine. Just 3 leopards on the loose. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. That really good.
Brilliant.
I don't know. SNL. We'll talk about Miley Cyrus here in a second, but Elon Musk hosted SNL. Did you see any of it?
I saw the monologue.
Okay.
I saw a little bit of it. I probably watched the first half hour.
Yeah, it was better than what I thought it was going to be. There were a couple of sketches and skits that, even though they quote unquote had to carry them, I thought it was one of their better shows.
See, now I heard he got panned. And I heard the stock price went down after.
Well, absolutely. I think those are 2 separate stories. I think the stock market part of it, I think everyone knew what was going to happen. No matter what he did or said on the show, it rose right before the show. People sold off. It was going to dip no matter what.
Oh, I didn't. I thought it was going to go up.
No, see, I think unless he came on the show and said Tesla is like exclusively accepting Dogecoin, there was nowhere for it to go but down.
I think, honestly, I don't know if I'd ever heard him speak before. I don't know if I could have picked him out of a line. I thought he was endearing. I did not know he had Asperger's until he spoke. And while listening, after he said it and while listening to it, I could see it. But no, I thought he was, he's the nerdiest nerd of the world. And I thought he was kind of endearing about it.
I thought it actually made some of the skits work.
Like
the one skit where it was almost like the dating scene. Like it was people talking to each other for the first time outside of COVID and they were face to face again. That skit, it worked. Like it made it almost like perfect. There was another one where he's the conductor and they're on Mars. They're trying to build the civilization on Mars. Did you see this one?
I did not see that.
And he's playing like the commander and he's perfect for it because he's almost like deadpan to the actual action that's happening on the other side. So I actually thought it played well for
I liked in the monologue where he was making fun of the tweets that people got mad at.
Yes.
And he was like, I'm blasting people into space. Like, you think I'm like a normal guy.
I actually thought it made this is going to sound awful because I know the people of SNL, super talented. If you've ever read about SNL and what they go through in a week to try to make it happen and the effort that goes into it, I actually thought they had to up their game a little bit. I think people were nervous because he's not an actor, he's not a singer, he's not, you could argue he's not an artist or a performer.
Right.
And I actually think it made SNL step it up. I think the skits were cleaner. I think the writing was better because I think they felt pressured. This guy's not going to be able to carry this. I thought it actually made a better show.
Maybe. That's good. I like Miley Cyrus. I think Miley Cyrus is very underrated. And I thought her opening was good. The song where they do it with the Mother's Day and they had all the mothers out there. So yeah, I like that. I thought it was cool.
Did you know who the Kid Laroi was before the show?
I still don't know who he is.
Did you like the song they did? Did you get to see it?
Did they do? Yes, I did watch that. Who is he? And did they do it on the latest album? Because she had an album that I actually own, and there's some fame, Joan Jett did a song with her.
Yes.
There's some really famous people. So I assume that song is on the album.
I don't know if it's on the album. It's actually Kid Laroi's song. It is not Miley Cyrus'
okay, well then
song.
it's not because
he released a single probably 4 months ago. He released that song.
Who is he?
Kid Laroi. This is the big thing.
Are they an item?
I don't think so. Okay. I've seen nothing about them being an item. Here's the catch with Kid Laroi. Kid Laroi is a perfect example of how the music industry has changed because he didn't come up through the industry. He basically released stuff online. It went to Spotify, and all of a sudden he had 2 singles on Today's Top Hits, which basically, if you're on Today's Top Hits, you have songs in the top 50 most streamed songs for that given day or that given week. So he is an example of how the music industry has changed. The big thing with Kid Laroi is people kept saying, we don't even know if he's a musician. We don't know if he can actually sing. We don't know if he can actually perform. We don't even know if he can actually write because all we know is he just had a computer and a microphone and he put this stuff together. But there was no way to actually verify that he himself as a person could actually do all of this. So the SNL performance with Miley Cyrus was a big deal for Kid Laroi.
So that was his first real.
It was a coming of age isn't the right term, but it really was here I am. Here's the proof. And coming out party in the sense of not popularity, but coming out party in the sense of I'm actually doing this.
Because they seemed. This is the one. And now that you're telling me the story, it all makes sense. They seemed much more celebratory at the end of the song than a typical Saturday Night Live song.
Yes. And this was the other part too, and you could tell it. What I liked about Kid Laroi performing with Miley Cyrus, there was no gimmick to him. You could tell his only goal up there was to be good. He wasn't trying, he wasn't playing to the crowd. He was I need to be good at this because right now people don't think I can be.
That is cool. Now really I like that because I remember watching it. And of course, for 2 seconds, I think I don't know who this kid is. But then I think, well, I don't know who any of these kids are. Except I do know Miley Cyrus, but I'm not that far under a rock. But
isn't she? You've been saying now for a week or two, how great she is. She is phenomenal. You almost forget until you see her again.
She is. and I say this, and people, Joe, and it's good that no one's listening anymore. Like her and Bieber at a halftime would be fantastic for me, because I think they are both so much more talented than they're given credit for. She is the Hannah Montana, and then she gets beat up because she went a little kooky for a while, and she didn't have any clothes on for a while, and she has all these tattoos. But if you just go on YouTube and listen to some of the classic rock and roll, she does Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
She did Temple of the Dog. She can just sing, and she's raspier. She is very Stevie Nicks-ish.
Yeah. She
doesn't have the typical high-pitched girl voice, but she can really bring it.
No, she was awesome. You almost, like I said, every time I see her, I'm reminded, I'm like, oh yeah, she's phenomenal.
And I think the thing that's hurt her too from that aspect is people think of Party in the USA, which is a great tune. You can't hate it, even if you try to hate it, but she is so much more accomplished than that.
After the state championship game, we got on the bus to come home, and I never ride the bus home, like ever. Like I'm never on the bus. The first song our 18-year-old kids wanted to play after winning a state championship was Party in the USA.
You can't hate it. You cannot hate that song.
Nope, you cannot. Adam Sandler story, go.
Oh, there's this, you can TikTok it or whatever. Adam Sandler went into some restaurant, and I'm going to say like a Denny's. I don't even know what it was, a Waffle House. And he has a mask on, and he's dressed down because it's, he's going. And the hostess girl looked at him, didn't know who he was, and said, oh, it'll be a 30-minute wait. So he left. And then I don't know how someone told her, like, you realize who you just shoot away. So she made a TikTok mocking herself that, like, I just told Adam Sandler we didn't have a table for him for 30 minutes. And
so you'll appreciate this, because I don't know if you know this yet. Adam Sandler was asked about it, and he said that he left the IHOP after being told the all-you-can-eat deal didn't apply to the milkshakes. And it gets better. IHOP saw Adam Sandler say this. They officially made today all-you-can-drink milkshake day at IHOP. So if you're near an IHOP, it is all-you-can-drink milkshakes for the day.
One of the things that we're learning from social media, we talked about Ben Affleck the other day with the girl who
Rhea.
She didn't unfriend him. She unmatched him. They matched, and she said no, thank you. And Adam Sandler making jokes. You really see the people who can laugh at themselves.
Yes,
because there are Hollywood people who would be so offended that they didn't get a table at IHOP and they were told to wait 30 minutes.
Right.
That they would never they would say, I'm never going to IHOP again. They would put, and Adam Sandler's making jokes about it. And surprisingly, Adam Sandler's making jokes, but you really do see the people who are kind of balanced with themselves and can laugh at themselves.
What's the longest you've ever waited?
Not very long. For a table? No, I take that back. My daughters and I were when I took my daughters to see a play in New York City. We went to see Mean Girls, and it was great. And we kind of just went, it's Saturday night or whatever. And because I think we went to the matinee, and then we were looking for somewhere to eat, and we went into a place, and they're like, oh, it's whatever long wait. My kids are like, let's go somewhere else. And we went somewhere else, and they're like, oh, it's however long wait. And I said to my kids, it's New York City.
Right.
Like there's no place where we walk in and there's going to be 10 open tables. It's Saturday night. So,
right.
So we probably waited there half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay. That's not bad.
I've stood in amusement park lines longer than I've stood waiting for a table.
The amusement park ride thing blows my mind as far as waiting. I cannot believe people do what they do in amusement parks.
Once you get there, what else are you going to do? Now with phones, it's great. Just before phones, you just had to sit there and talk to the person next to you. And this is the fourth line we've stood in, so I'm out of stories. But at least with your phone.
I mean, some of these places, you're there for 8-10 hours, and you go on 5 rides.
Yep.
I mean, it is brutal. It is brutal. And then in the show, just an update, Bill Gates, 7 days. It's been 7 days now.
What's disappointing to me is apparently J-Lo wasn't single for very long.
Oh, really?
There's pictures of her and Ben Affleck, and they're like, that's where the paparazzi has gone with this.
Wow.
That J-Lo has unfortunately bounced back quickly. I thought I had a shot.
No.
Apparently I do not. So now Melinda Gates, she is more in my crosshairs because I'm focused. Whereas more I thought I had options. Now I'm kind of singularly focused. How old is Melinda Gates? Do we know that?
Bill Gates is 65. I believe she is at least, I'm going to guess and say she's somewhere around 57, 55, 53. Like she's in the mid 50s. I think she's like almost a decade younger than him.
I could make that work.
Because you're almost a decade younger than Bill Gates?
I would be less than a decade younger than Melinda.
Ooh, okay. People at home right now are doing some serious math. Serious math.
We could work it out.
7 days single, what should Bill be doing?
Enjoying it.
He's not going out yet though. 7 days in, you're still enjoying like the loneliness. You're still reveling in the singularity of your being.
Wait, what did you say? You're not going.
You use the word loneliness. 7 days. It's not even the loneliness. You're just reveling in the singularity that is now you.
It just depends why they split and who called the split. Okay. The person who said I'm out will be reveling for a long, long time. Okay. Probably. Okay. There is, you Google it though, there is like divorce regret, and there's people who thought the grass was going to be greener and then got out and wish they could go back. And I've known people like that, but it just depends who. The person who feels jilted may be lonely immediately. The person who was, who left may never feel lonely.
Right. Bill, if you're out there, give us a call. Come on, talk to us about it. 7 days in.
We'll talk you through it.
We could talk you through it. All right. Anything else before we hit it? That was a good Monday.
No, that's it. I don't know.
There's one more leopard on the loose.
They're all good Mondays. Not a deaf leopard though.
No, not a deaf.
Maybe
leopard.
It is. Maybe that's why when they're calling it and they're like, "Here, boy, here, boy." Maybe he is a deaf leopard.
All right. The dad joke is now we have to end.
We have we have one more story that deserves attention, so I'll hold it till tomorrow.
Okay, hold on to it. Good teaser. Way to be.
Tomorrow we have trivia.
Oh, we do have trivia with John Mackey again. We're gonna go eventually.
It won't be Star Wars.
That was a struggle.
I nailed it. I really impressed myself.
You carried us. I owe you one. Okay. Thank you to Weis Markets for being our title sponsor. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for watching the Midday Show at NorthcentralPA.com.
We'll see ya.